You are listening to Housekeepers Chat by the United States Department of Agriculture from 1927. Disclaimer: this is read from a historic archive document. Do not assume content reflects current scientific knowledge, policies, or practices. This broadcast was aired on the 16th of March of 1927.
Today's program is packed full of information, served in 9 or 10 courses. The recipes and the menu are from the United States Bureau of Home Economics.
The very first thing on the program today is questions and answers. As soon as the questions are answered, we shall have a lunch or supper menu. First question: how can I make a salad dressing that will keep 1 week or longer? Answer: any true mayonnaise made with egg, oil, acid, and seasonings will keep as long as a week in a refrigerator or cold box in a window. In fact, it's a good idea to make up a sufficient quantity of mayonnaise to last a week. Second question: can you tell me why my prune pies always have a flat taste? Answer: perhaps you do not add lemon juice to your prune pie filling. Prune pies are improved by the addition of a small amount of lemon juice and possibly the grated rind of part of the lemon. Some cooks thicken the prune juice. Nuts may be added if liked. Prune pie is always improved by serving whipped cream with it to give richness. Third question: why does an aluminum pancake griddle stick with buckwheat cakes only? Answer: perhaps there is not enough fat in the pancake batter. Increase the quantity of fat in the recipe and see if this corrects the difficulty. Fourth question. I like these questions. They are short, practical, and easy to answer. Fourth question: how can I keep celery from turning dark between Saturday and Sunday noon? I think your trouble comes from leaving the celery in the water too long. Try leaving the celery in cold water for an hour or two to crisp it. Then wrap the celery in a clean, moist cloth until it is needed, or you may prefer to put the celery away, as you buy it from the store, until about 2 hours before using it. Then crisp it in cold water and clean it. Fifth question: why are the meringues on my custard pies tough and leathery? Too hot an oven is the reason. Egg white coagulates at a very low temperature and toughens at a high temperature. You will get the best results from baking your meringue in a slow oven for about 20 minutes. Sixth question: when puddings are steamed in coffee cans, should the lids be left on the can during the steaming process? It is best to put lids on coffee cans in which puddings are being steamed. Otherwise, the steam condensing on the lid of the steamer may drip into the can and make the pudding moist. Directions for steaming some puddings and breads suggest that the lids be tied on with string, so the expansion cannot push them off. If a small hole is pierced in the lid with a nail, it not only prevents the top from blowing off, but keeps the pudding from becoming too moist. Question 7. What is meant by the term pigs in blankets? The term pigs in blankets is ordinarily applied to oysters wrapped in bacon and broiled. There are as many slices of bacon as oysters. Large ones are most often used. The oysters wrapped in a slice of bacon and fastened with a toothpick as a skewer. They are either broiled about 8 minutes directly under the fire or fried in a skillet until the bacon is crisp. Serve on toast. Next question. Please define the terms broiling, pan broiling, frying, and sautéing. Broiling, broiling, is cooking by direct contact with heat. The term is usually applied to meats. The surface is first seared and the cooking then continued at a lower temperature. Searing is accomplished by exposing every part of the surface of the meat to heat intense enough to coagulate the outer portion and thus hold in the juices. Pan broiling is like broiling, except that the heat is applied by means of hot metal, such as an iron skillet. The metal may be greased just enough to prevent sticking. Frying is cooking by immersion in hot fat. For instance, donuts are fried. Sautéing, sauteing, is cooking in a small amount of hot fat. Next question. Please tell me. No, this listener didn't say please tell me. She says, what would you do with an imitation mahogany library table that looks rather shabby even when it is polished? I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd refinish the table. To remove what is left of the old finish, rub the wood down with fine steel wool or fine sandpaper, or use a varnish remover. When the table is free from varnish and the surface smooth and in good condition, give the wood a coat of mahogany wood stain, preferably the brown mahogany color rather than the red. After this has stood for a day or so, rub down the surface with a mixture of 2 parts of linseed oil and 1 of turpentine. Rub it with a soft cloth, the more rubbing the better. Allow the table to stand where there is no dust until the surface has taken up all the oil and the wood is rubbed down well. If you prefer varnished furniture, you can apply a coat of varnish, let it dry, rub it down, and then apply another coat. Some persons prefer a wax finish. Use a good grade of wax polish and follow directions. Only a little is needed at a time, and the waxing should be repeated at intervals of several months. That finishes the questions for today. Let's lay our sewing aside for a few minutes now and write down a good lunch or supper menu. Ready? Omelet with Spanish sauce, baked potatoes, hot biscuits and butter, and fruit cup. First, I shall tell you how to make a fluffy omelet, the kind of an omelet that will cause your name to be heralded far and wide and put you in the who's who of omelet cooks. To make a fluffy omelet, separate the yolks and whites carefully and beat them well. To the yolks, add as many tablespoons of milk as you have eggs and enough salt for seasoning, and mix well. Then fold in the fluffy whites until they are well blended, but be careful not to stir roughly and so release the air which you have taken pains to beat into the whites. Many cooks prefer to use water in place of milk. Choose a heavy pan, such as an iron skillet, deep enough that the mixture will cover it about 1 inch deep when it is poured in. Put this pan onto heat while you are beating the eggs. Melt in it enough butter to coat the bottom, but do not allow the butter to brown. If the butter gets too hot, it may cause the omelet to burn and the flavor will be ruined. The secret of a perfect omelet is to cook it at a moderate temperature. Pour the egg mixture into the skillet and cook it at a low, even heat. The air then has a chance to expand and raise the omelet before the proteins of the egg and milk set. Managed this way, they set gradually without becoming too tough, and the omelet cooks through thoroughly. If you are using a small-size gas or oil burner, move the pan about so that the omelet will cook around the edge at the same rate it does in the center. Use a spatula or broad, thin, limber knife to lift the edges of the omelet gently in order to find out when it has browned on the bottom. Then put it under a low flame in the broiling oven or on the shelf of a hot baking oven for a few minutes until the top sets. Or if you prefer, cover the pan during the whole cooking period and so cook the top of the omelet with steam. Then crease it through the center, fold it over with your spatula or knife, and turn it onto a hot platter without attempting to lift it out of the pan. Pour the Spanish sauce over it and serve at once. I'll give you directions for Spanish sauce in just a minute. Flat omelets, as the French make them, are a little easier and quicker to handle than fluffy omelets because the yolks and whites of eggs are beaten together, not separately. Milk or water is added in the same proportion, 1 tablespoon to each egg. Use a large heavy pan with melted butter, again being careful not to have it too hot, and cook the mixture slowly and evenly on both top and bottom. When it is golden brown, roll it in the pan and turn it out onto a hot platter. Now I'm going to give you a famous recipe for Spanish or Creole sauce. It's a wonderful sauce, a sauce which adds piquancy to an omelet, boiled rice or potatoes, stewed meats, and such fish as cod, haddock, and halibut. Put this tasty sauce on an omelet, and you have a dish fit for a king. There are 10 ingredients in this sauce. I will read slowly enough that you can write them down, even though you have forgotten your shorthand. Ready? 2 cups canned tomatoes, 2 tablespoons chopped onion, 1 chopped green pepper or canned pimento, ½ cup chopped celery, 2 tablespoons butter, 2 teaspoons minced parsley, 4 tablespoons minced ham or bacon, 1 bay leaf, 1 tablespoon flour, salt and pepper to taste. 10 ingredients, I'll repeat them. 2 cups canned tomatoes, 2 tablespoons chopped onion, 1 chopped green pepper or canned pimento, half cup chopped celery, 2 tablespoons butter, 2 teaspoons minced parsley, 4 tablespoons minced ham or bacon, 1 bay leaf, 1 tablespoon flour, salt and pepper to taste. Add the onion to the butter and cook it until it is tender and yellow. Add all the other ingredients except the minced ham or bacon and the flour and simmer for half an hour. Remove the bay leaf. Blend the flour with a little melted butter and add to the sauce. Cook for 5 or 10 minutes longer. Add the ham or bacon and serve at once. The menu, again, omelet with Spanish sauce, baked potatoes, hot biscuits and butter, and fruit cup. I believe I'll make one change in that menu. Let's have graham biscuits instead of white. Graham biscuits will go well with the omelet, and they will be a happy change if you have been serving white biscuits regularly.
This broadcast was researched and produced by Breakaway Empire LLC.